There is a man named Carlos. One morning, on his way to work, he is suddenly stopped by a strange man standing silently in the middle of the road. Already stressed and irritated, Carlos confronts him. Instead of reacting, the man calmly hands him a cassette tape with several song titles written on it. Before Carlos can even ask what it means, the man disappears without a trace. Carlos arrives at the office and goes on with his day. He is a successful lawyer, but this time, the case he is handling is painfully personal. He is managing his own divorce. Back at home, his wife Elena is seen separating their belongings. Elena works as a music producer, and their marriage has reached this point because of constant arguments that never seem to end. That afternoon, Carlos returns home and hands Elena the divorce papers, asking her to sign them. While she reads through the documents, she hears Carlos chewing on ice. A small habit, but one that finally pushes her over the edge. After years of marriage, nothing has changed. What starts as something trivial quickly turns into yet another argument.
¿Contento? No lo soporto.
Pues a mí hay muchas cosas que me tienen hasta la madre.
Carlos steps away to cool off and notices something that hurts more than he expects. A band poster he once gave Elena has been taken down and set aside. Knowing how much she loved that band, he tells her to either take it or throw it away. Elena falls silent. She then tries to talk to him honestly, wondering how their relationship ended up here. To her, these problems still feel like things that could have been talked through. Carlos refuses to listen. He explains that fixing things would be pointless because they would only fight again. To him, this marriage was doomed from the start. He even blames the god of love for pairing them together in the first place. Frustrated and hurt, Elena signs the divorce papers on the spot. Suddenly, the radio in Carlos's room turns on by itself. When he switches it off, he realizes the song that was playing matches one of the titles written on the cassette from that morning. Moments later, the radio turns on again, sparking another argument. Then, without warning, the strange man appears once more. This time, he reveals who he really is. He is Cupid, the god of love. He explains that he is tired of being blamed. No one forced Carlos and Elena to fall in love. They chose each other on their own. This is the beginning of a love story that refuses to stay in the past. This is with you in the future. Cupid offers them a chance to undo everything. He sends Carlos and Elena back to the night they first met, giving them the opportunity to convince their younger selves not to fall in love.
Feliz día de San Valentín.
¿Qué pasó?
¿Sí?
Carlos.
As they race through the streets in a speeding car, time suddenly shifts, and they find themselves in the past, on Valentine's night, at a party held at Carlos's ex-girlfriend's house. Cupid explains the rules. The cassette he gave Carlos contains a list of songs. If their mission succeeds, the songs will disappear one by one. When all the songs are gone, their future will officially change. After Cupid disappears, chaos immediately follows. Carlos is accidentally knocked down by a young woman. It turns out to be Elena from the past. She faints on the spot. When she wakes up and sees her bandmates looking young again, the shock only grows. She starts calling them by name, leaving everyone confused about how she could possibly know. To avoid exposing their identities, Carlos explains that he and Elena are music producers interested in signing the band, but only after seeing them perform. While Elena focuses on watching her band, Carlos notices something even more unsettling. He sees his younger self nearby, casually talking with his best friend, Cicles. In the middle of the party, young Carlos's girlfriend, Cristina, suddenly arrives. She comes from an extremely wealthy billionaire family. The truth is, young Carlos never truly liked her. He only stayed in the relationship because she pushed him into it. That night, Cristina tells him that her grandmother's birthday is the following evening. She plans to introduce him to the family, and she expects him to show up dressed properly in a formal suit. Young Carlos immediately refuses. He already has plans to attend a concert and has bought 2 tickets. But Cristina refuses to back down. She makes it clear that if he does not attend the family event, the relationship is over. When she leaves, young Carlos initially feels relieved at the idea of breaking up. Seeing this moment, Carlos from the future quickly approaches his younger self and tries to intervene. He strongly encourages him to stay with Cristina, praising her looks, her kindness, and her wealth. To him, someone like Cristina should never be let go. In his eyes, she is the definition of a perfect partner. Not long after that, Elena's band takes the stage. At that moment, Carlos from the future notices something alarming. Young Carlos is completely captivated by Elena as she performs. While she is singing, young Carlos and young Elena lock eyes. Realizing what is about to happen, Elena from the future desperately tries to prevent it. In the chaos, young Elena's hand accidentally touches the sound equipment and gets burned. Shaken, she steps away to calm herself. Young Carlos follows her. With genuine care, he helps treat her injured hand. During that moment, one of his concert tickets slips and falls. Young Elena notices it and reacts with excitement. She realizes how important that concert is and how badly she has wanted to attend, but could not get a ticket. From there, they begin talking, quickly growing close. Before leaving, young Carlos quietly slips one of the tickets into her pocket. From a distance, Carlos and Elena from the future can only watch in shock. Once the younger versions leave together, panic sets in. If things continue like this, they will inevitably fall in love, making their journey to the past completely meaningless. They decide that no matter what happens, the next night they must prevent the two from meeting again. Suddenly, Elena remembers something important and pulls Carlos toward the band's van. Inside, she retrieves a weapon. Carlos is stunned, confused as to why a band would carry a weapon. Elena explains that in the past, the band often performed late into the night and it was simply for protection. She then reveals her plan. They will use the gun to threaten young Carlos into giving up the concert ticket. They check the cassette given by Cupid and notice something encouraging. 3 song titles have already disappeared. That means only 2 songs remain. If they succeed, the future will finally change. The next afternoon, they track down young Carlos while he is eating at a restaurant with his best friend, Ciclas. Without hesitation, Elena pulls out the gun and demands the concert ticket. Young Carlos and Ciclas are completely stunned. At first, they think this is a robbery, only to realize she is after nothing but the ticket. Ciclas even tries offering money, but Elena refuses. She wants the ticket and nothing else. Just as young Carlos is about to hand over the concert ticket, Ciclas steps in and tries to stop it. In the middle of the chaos, Carlos from the future finally tells the truth about who he really is. Young Carlos refuses to believe it and tries to run away. The situation escalates when Elena pulls out the gun, turning everything tense and chaotic. At that moment, young Carlos breaks down and explains how important the concert truly is to him. He believes he will meet the woman he loves there. To him, the connection feels so deep that it is as if their souls are already bound together, as if she is the person he wants to cherish and make happy for the rest of his life. Those words cut deeply into Elena. Holding back her emotions, she quietly shares something with young Carlos, something only the two of them could possibly understand. The realization hits him hard. He is stunned that she could know something so personal. Through that moment, he finally understands who she really is and what the future holds. Young Carlos falls silent. In the end, he agrees to give the ticket to Elena. Before leaving, Carlos from the future borrows young Carlos's car, promising to return it later. As they drive away, Carlos asks what Elena said that convinced his younger self so completely. Elena only laughs and brushes it off, keeping the truth between them. Seeing Elena smile like that, Carlos cannot help but smile too. It has been a long time since he last saw his wife look that happy, the same way she did back when they were still in love. With their mission complete, they quietly say their goodbyes. Suddenly, the road around them begins to change. New memories slowly flood in. Inside the moving car, they witness flashes of their younger days together. Moments of joy, love, and shared experiences that once defined their relationship. When everything finally settles, both of them are shocked by what they see. Elena now looks like a rebellious rock singer covered in tattoos. In her new memories, she is trapped in a toxic relationship that leads her into alcohol addiction. Carlos, on the other hand, now appears wealthy and polished. In his altered life, he is married to Cristina, but the pressure of living up to a powerful billionaire family has left him stressed and secretly addicted to smoking. Their fate has changed, but their lives have only grown worse. In that painful moment, Carlos finally realizes the truth. The life he shared with Elena, the one he never truly appreciated, was actually the best life he ever had. As he tries to apologize, Elena, still overwhelmed and shaken, walks away and leaves him behind. Out on the street, Elena spots her younger self getting into a taxi, heading to the concert. Even though the future has already changed, they are still trapped in the past. Driven by emotion, Elena sneaks into her younger self's apartment. Inside, she finds a cassette filled with songs identical to the one Cupid gave them. Only then does she remember the truth. Those songs were the ones she used to play over and over when she first fell in love with Carlos. In that instant, all the feelings she had buried come rushing back. The longing is overwhelming. When she checks Cupid's cassette again, only one song remains. Elena breaks down. She does not want the future to change anymore. She wants to stay with her husband. Without hesitation, she rushes toward the concert venue. Elsewhere, Carlos is seen using a public phone to call his mother. He pretends to be a police officer who has found young Carlos's car. At first, he keeps up the act, but slowly the call turns personal. He pours out his regrets about leaving his wife, admitting that the greatest love of his life was destroyed by nothing more than his own ego. The conversation becomes a wake-up call. Carlos realizes that if he truly understands his mistake, he should not be standing still anymore. That realization hits him hard. He immediately goes to find Sicolas and asks for help. That night at Sicolas' house, Carlos explains everything, including what the future looks like. At first, Sicolas refuses to believe any of it. But once Carlos reveals something only Sicolas could possibly know, the truth becomes undeniable. Carlos begs him to bring young Carlos to the concert so he can meet young Elena and fall in love. At that point, Sicolas becomes their last hope, and his inner hero finally awakens. Sicolas quickly figures out where young Carlos is. He is at Christina's house, meeting her family. With traffic at a standstill, the only way to get there fast is by motorcycle. Meanwhile, young Carlos is surrounded by Christina's extremely wealthy family. Intimidated by their status, he becomes visibly nervous. His anxiety gets the best of him, leading to an awkward moment that leaves everyone around him stunned. As soon as they arrive, Carlos tells Sicolas to sneak inside and secretly hand the concert ticket to young Carlos. Sicolas understands the mission and moves into action. However, things immediately go wrong when he ends up being chased by Christina's dog. After a long and painful struggle that leaves him injured, Sicolas finally reaches young Carlos, who is eating with Christina's family. He manages to pass along the concert ticket, making it clear that this is his one and only chance to chase true love. Deeply moved by his friend's sacrifice, young Carlos makes his decision. Even when faced with pressure and threats from Christina, he chooses to leave. Outside the house, he meets Carlos from the future. With Sicolas badly hurt and exhausted, young Carlos is urged to go with Carlos while help is called. Meanwhile, outside the concert venue, Elena can do nothing but cry. In her current memories, if Carlos does not show up, she is destined to end up with a toxic partner. Fear and heartbreak overwhelm her as she waits. Not long after, Carlos arrives with his younger self. Before young Carlos heads inside, Carlos from the future makes one final request. He wants his younger self to never waste Elena again, and to spend a lifetime making her happy. Young Carlos is ready to enter, but suddenly realizes his ticket is missing. At that moment, Elena appears from behind, holding the ticket that Carlos dropped earlier. When their eyes meet, everything becomes clear. In that instant, Carlos and Elena understand that they are truly meant to be together. At the same time, inside the venue, young Carlos and young Elena begin falling in love. Outside, Carlos and Elena from the future finally forgive each other. With that, they successfully return to the future. Still overwhelmed, Elena notices the burn scar on her hand from the night she once performed at Christina's house. That mark proves it was never a dream. Relieved and emotional, the two of them embrace. Back in the past, the ambulance that Sicolas called finally arrives. As a nurse treats his injuries, he shares the story behind every wound. They are the result of his struggle to fix his best friend's future. Moved by his sincerity, the nurse is deeply impressed, and from that moment, a new love begins to grow. So the moral of the story is, if you blame Cupid, chew ice loudly, and threaten your past self with a gun just to fix a relationship, you probably should have just communicated like a normal human being in the first place.